What's up, guys? It's JZNES back again with another video. Today we're talking about Tears of the Kingdom, The Legend of Zelda, the final Legend of Zelda game that I had to beat until the next one comes out. But you know, for now, yeah, until the next one comes out in like 6 years. So this is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, the game that we were all sort of waiting for all this time. You know, we talked about it, we fantasized about what it would even be like. If you remember, I was very high on Breath of the Wild. I had very positive opinions of that game. There were a few flaws, most of which they had fixed in this game. The weapon durability system is still here, but they have a system to where you can add things to your weapons now. All those useless items you were picking up before aren't useless anymore. You can now add anything to your items, or throw things, or, you know, much like before, you have the cooking system. So, in a lot of ways, this game is an addendum review to the Breath of the Wild review, but it is its own game as well. It's not just DLC or something like that, but it does feel like that in a lot of ways. But it's a brand new world within the old world. Things change, things stay the same. The world is trying to recover after, you know, post-Calamity Ganon. Spoilers, by the way. Right, so it's all about rebuilding Hyrule. But in the very beginning of the game, Zelda kind of goes missing after y'all find Ganondorf deep beneath Hyrule Castle there. In a place later on would be known as the Depths, that you find out later. So, yeah, you find a Ganondorf down there. You know, you've seen that in the trailer, how that happens. And then, but he wakes up and, basically, this is the Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time. And it's like, oh shit, man. Like, you could tell because he's talking about, like, Rauru and stuff. And then it's like, well, is it the same Rauru? Not necessarily the same Rauru. But it kind of seems like he is the same Rauru. He talks about the 6 sages and all that kind of stuff, and we do get to see said sages in this game. So I feel like it's got to be sort of canon to the canon that we know, like the Link to the Past and all that. So, you know, yeah, so to me anyway, the first reaction I had is this is the Ganon from Ocarina of Time, because he was talking about being imprisoned by Rauru, which I'm like, oh shit, like, you know, all these elements are from Ocarina of Time. Well, you find out Rauru is like this Zonite sort of dude. I don't know if that's like a retcon or what, if it is the same, or like, you know, it could be the alternate timeline thing, or I think it takes place in the same timeline, but apparently Breath of the Wild kind of like merged the timelines again or something. So I have no clue. Anyway, this is this timeline's interpretation of the Rauru that we knew from Ocarina of Time. So yeah, wrap your head around that. Anyway, you know, and he's kind of a central character along with his wife. They were like some of the first rulers of Hyrule. And we do get to see a lot of that area. Not a lot of it, but within cutscenes and stuff from the past. Because the thing is, Zelda gets trapped in the past because, how does that happen, actually? Unclear. Ganondorf sends her to the past or something? Why would he do that, though? Why wouldn't he just kill her or something? Like, does he need her or something? I think the Master Sword takes her there? I can't fucking remember. This was too long ago. Let's look, actually. I need to see. How many hours did I goddamn put into this game? Because it was a lot by the end there. That was one thing I forgot to check out. Yeah, I put in a ton of hours to this game. like I was saying before. 240 hours! God damn, dude. How many did I put into Breath of the Wild? It had to have been less than that. Let's see. It's gotta be pretty close on here. 135. Okay. So, I mean, but that's, you know, take that and double that. So, like, maybe 260 hours because of the original run-through or whatever. On the Wii U there. But, yeah, anyway, Zelda ends up back in time. Let's just talk about the story, I guess. So Zelda ends up back in time. You see her interacting with the past and stuff. She likes that because she gets to study stuff. But she's always trying to get back to the future. I know what I said. Back to the future to help Link on his quest and whatever. And eventually she just kind of realizes she can't do it. But there's these sacred stone things that each of the sages in this game get. Who are all the characters from the last game, except for Tulin. Is the replacement for, I guess, his father, right? Or whatever. But literally everyone else is like Yunobo and all of the people from the last game. You know, the Zora Prince guy, Sidon, and the Gerudo lady, the queen, or whatever. And then there's a spirit temple as well. Okay. So, I mean, those they all are incorporated with the temple. So there's Spirit Temple as well, which, you know, also very much like Ocarina of Time. But anyway, the final sage is, like, the woman from the past, or whatever, one of the Zonai people. I think she's related to Rauru, like his sister or something. Yeah, but she's, like, down in the depths. And then you have to, like, put together a robot suit for her. And then you can, like, attach things to a robot suit, which is cool. That was a pretty cool sage and mechanic thing. I didn't really use it that much, but cool idea, you know? For sure. But by the time you get her, it's just so late in the game, you know? But she was, like, the second or third one I got, but, like, still, like... And her whole thing is just, like, taking a bunch of different little areas. They were like mini dungeons, almost like shrines in a sense. We're going to talk about those goddamn shrines here in a second. Anyway, so they're all the sages. I liked their characters. I definitely thought it was cool at the end how it was not as great of a moment. You know how much I fucking freaked out on that, like, poof, poof, all the beams of light coming in again, and then it's like the music's like, oh, and it's like, like it's the health bar goes. You're just like, yeah, fuck yeah. There's no moment like that, but there was a nice moment where there's like hordes of creatures coming out of this area where Ganon's at. I'm gonna call him Ganon, by the way. I know he's Ganondorf, but I always just call him Ganon because it's faster. Ganon is coming out. He's sending all these creatures out, and they're like, and I'm assuming if you didn't go and get them, the scene wouldn't happen, and that's why it's kind of impactful for me. I assume you don't have to do that. So, yeah, but they all like come out like because when you first start going down, there's a point where it says the sages can't reach you there, and so you're like, oh, I'm on my own, and then all of a sudden when you get into that horde battle, they're like, you don't have to fight alone. You know, Link, like, we can do this together. That's like what Tulin says, and they're all like, we're gonna stand by your side and fight. You're like, oh, that's nice. I mean, they were always by my side throughout the entire game. Every time you beat a dungeon, they find the little sacred stone things, and they I guess they wear them, or does Link wear them? Because then they send their spirit, to like a ring or a thing on, yeah, one of the rings on your hand there. Link gets his arm cut off at the beginning of the game, by the way. That's pretty dark, but Ganon, like, takes the Master Sword and he's like, this is what Rauru said was supposed to beat me, and then he like crushes it and like throws it aside. It's like, oh my god, what the fuck? He just like smashes the Master. It's so ironic because his final boss battle is not that tough. The other Ganon was like way harder. But anyway, I want to get back to that moment. Because they, they're all there helping you, and then after that fight, all the 4 bosses come out from earlier in the game, and you're like, oh my god, this is it. This is where I would have had to fight these 4 bosses, just like in Breath of the Wild, if I hadn't done them previously, or you'd have to fight whichever ones you hadn't done. But there's a scene where they all just fend off the bosses for you, and they're like, don't worry, Link, we got this. We've defeated them once before, and it's just like, fuck yeah, dude. And then when you're in the actual fight with Ganondorf there, they come and help you there. I guess only like 1 or 2 of them got to come and help me, because like they got knocked aside. It was like Tulin and Yunobo or something got knocked aside. But I wasn't really trying to pay that much attention to that because I was fighting Ganondorf. So, yeah, so, but, what was I trying to say? So anyway, yeah, so that's kind of your big beam moment, but they didn't really get to do anything like that. They just kind of get knocked aside. If they had made that significant, like if each one of them had a cutscene where, Ganon beats on them or something, that would have been pretty impactful, but it doesn't really happen like that. It's just a very blink and you'll miss it kind of thing, and so that sucks. Like, I don't like that. I wish they would have done more with that, since I actually kind of cared about these characters, just like a little bit, because they were there with me the whole adventure. Their spirits were, anyway. Also, that was physically them there, wasn't it? At the end. That's good. That's what I was thinking, too. I'm like, they better not just send their spirit forms with them to the end. They better be there fighting. Like, I get it if I'm out adventuring and you got other shit to do, but, like, we're fighting Ganondorf here. You better come and help me, like, for sure. So, and I just kind of realized, yeah, they did do that. Also, at the end there, I knew it. I knew they were gonna fucking make you dive to catch Zelda. I knew it! I fucking knew it. I think they made you do it earlier, like at the beginning of the game too, but I knew they were gonna have like that fucking... that thing. I knew it. I knew it instinctively. And then when it happened, I'm like, god damn it, I knew it. I knew they were gonna do that. It was fun though. And I had that part spoiled for me, by the way, too, about Zelda turning back from a dragon. I don't know why I didn't think Zelda was going to come back from being a dragon. I thought that was pretty crazy. Yeah, that's what I was talking about in the past. She, like, swallows this sacred stone thing, and it's this forbidden act that, like, you're supposed to not do that because you'll turn into a dragon and lose all your memories, basically. But it was the only way she could get the Master Sword back to Link in the future. So she had to do it, and it was healed by the time you get it back to the future. So that really bugged me. As soon as you have the Master all the dungeons are kind of... the point for the dungeons, you see Zelda there, that's kind of moot, because you've seen all the memories, or if you've seen all the memories, I suppose, you've seen all the memories. Link knows that Zelda is the dragon, and he doesn't just say something, and they make fun of that later, too, at the very end, if you haven't... they're like, oh, there's a 5th sage or whatever. We didn't know about that. And then it's like, what? You already found the 5th sage? And I'm like, yeah, I already did everything, man. Like, and then they're like, oh, we gotta go find the Master Sword. It's like, what? You already found the Master Sword? It's like, yeah, that's like the first thing I did, dude. Like, before I even beat any dungeons. I did that a long time ago. And then, there was like another thing where, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, and then they mentioned that. They're like, oh, you knew Zelda was a dragon this whole time? And it's like, yeah, because Link doesn't talk, motherfucker. I don't know. I always thought that was stupid, too. He needs to talk. Like, he should have talked at the end of the game there. Like, when they were reciting the thing or whatever. Anyway, so... yeah, that was pretty dark that Zelda, like, turned into a dragon and lost all of her memories and whatever. And she actually, like, did that to sacrifice herself. And, like, the whole part with, like, the sages, like, trying to defend against Ganon and all of that. That was pretty cool. I like the cutscenes in the past. I like the more emphasis on a good story here. I just wish they would have done a little bit more with it. I don't know what the secret sauce is. Like, what did they do in like Ocarina of Time and like Majora's Mask and stuff to make it so good. Well, Majora's Mask was about the characters, I can tell you that one. Ocarina of Time, I don't know, it's just so classic. And I was thinking about this, and I'm like, how do they get back to that kind of Zelda? What elements do they need to add back in? I don't know. Restrictions, though. That's a big thing. Because I do want to get into that. This game is broken. Broken. Not in the sense that it's buggy or something. There are a couple of those, I guess. I didn't really experience a lot of that. This game is fucking broken. They broke the game. This broke me, you know? Fucking, if you know The Good Place. This broke me. No, seriously. This game is broken. You can do so many things that you couldn't do in Breath of the Wild. It is so easy by comparison because of all of the things that you can do. I'm not saying it's easy, but anytime... Okay, first of all, I just want to say, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not. I'm saying it. The shrines were terrible. There was not a single, like, shrine that... maybe, like, 3 or 4 that made me think, like, oh, this is cool. This is, like, as good as a Breath of the Wild shrine. Every fucking shrine in Breath of the Wild that I can remember, even the ones I hated, were all pretty complicated. You do a lot of crazy stuff to get through them, or they would all have... You know, I know they weren't all great, but they all were cool in their own way. They all had little things, little gimmicks, neat gimmicks. I know the combat ones were kind of lame. They did fix those in this one. That is the one thing I will give the shrines, is the combat shrines are good because they're more of like an open, free range, get around the shrine kind of thing and fight the enemies. Not great, but it was better. And those were maybe some of the only enjoyable shrines that I found. I found the rest of the shrines to be very dull or super easy to beat, and they were always shorter than anything in the Breath of the Wild shrines. The shrines, they dropped the ball hard on those shrines. They were bad. And I know there was like 152 of them, I believe. I gotta tell you, here's the thing about that. A lot of them, probably like at least a third, if not half of them, are fucking blessing shrines. You do a hard thing to get to the shrine, or you go through a cave, which we'll talk about caves here in a second. That's a big plus. And then it's just a blessing shrine. And I get it. I honestly, half the time I was relieved I didn't have to do anything, but thinking back and knowing that most of the shrines were bullshit, like 95% of them were terrible, is very disappointing, because in Breath of the Wild, that was a big element to the game. That was a big plus, is the shrines were there. They were always a, like, if not a fun experience, they were a brain-teasing experience. I wanted that. I only ever got that at the very beginning of the game, and past that, I only had to look up a couple shrines, and most of those were at the beginning of the game because I just didn't yet understand how the mechanics work. You can pretty much build something or do something that will break every single shrine, or use a rocket shield or something. It's like, well, just don't do that. But it's like, no, fuck you. They give me the option to, you know? I don't know. I just think the shrines really were such... My biggest complaint with the game, actually, is those fucking shrines and how bad they were compared to Breath of the Wild. I would say also that the world is cool, and it was great to explore, especially the depths and the sky were pretty cool additions to the world, for sure, and the caves, which are awesome. They're little mini... Not even mini. They're like, not full dungeons, but... I don't know, some of the caves are longer than dungeons, as far as I could tell. They were all really intricate and... not all of them. You know, a lot of them were intricate and very cavernous. You know, there was a lot of branching paths and stuff. It was always fun to explore those caves. That was a great addition to the game. I am so glad they added that. I'm so glad they added the depths. I thought that was so cool. That was such a great area. Farming for Zonite, you know, fighting all the gloom enemies down there. I don't really care for the gloom mechanic, but I didn't think it was that terrible. I dealt with it. It was fine. Also, at the end there, Ganon fucking took one of my hearts, like literally just destroyed it. It was like leveling down in Demon Souls. I wish the boss was harder. His health bar went like, and it went almost to the edge of the screen. I'm like, motherfucker, what? What are you doing? This is comical. But anyway, so, but he was super easy. All you gotta do is add something to the Master Sword and he's screwed, you know? It was really disappointing. Anyway, he did steal one of my hearts, so I think that mechanic was interesting. The Gloom, when you step on Gloom, it'll, like, permanently, not permanently, like, temporarily, I should say, take one of your hearts, and it'll gray it out so you can't heal it unless you have Gloom stuff that heals the Gloom things. Which is easy enough to get, but I didn't really use that throughout the game a lot. I mean, I should have, probably. But there's also these light shrines down in the depths that are adjacent to every shrine. Okay, so I like that, but I also hate that. The light roots, you go in them, you could cure the gloom. That was my idea with that. The light roots are where the shrines are, up above. And the shrines, you know, it's connected. Meaning, that's cool, because that means I can find them all, but it also takes the mystery out of finding them all. You know what I mean? Like before in Breath of the Wild, it's like, you had to really look around, and that was cool. Limitations to your game mechanics. That's what I'm saying, man. It's you know, and it's like, I know you can just look that up on walkthroughs and stuff, but it felt so much more grand when it was the first time, you know, and I was looking around and we had to search for every single shrine. The last shrine I had to find in Breath of the Wild was such a pain in the ass to find because I couldn't remember where it was. I know in this game it's a lot more convenient, and that's fine, and that's good. I mean, it's good that they did something different, and it's cool, and I remember when I figured that out, that like blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, they're connected! That's fucking crazy! But then it pretty much, again, broke the game, because as soon as I knew that, I knew where all of them were, you know? So I don't know. It's broken, in a sense, is the idea. You can break the game so easily. There's so many things. But also, at the same time, there's a fair balance. You know, you can't just build a Zonai device and then, like, I mean, you could just use a bunch of charges or something, or use this or use that. I never found that Zonai armor, by the way. I did find a lot of cool armors. They have the amiibo armors down in the depths. That's pretty cool. Although I did have my amiibos, my Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask ones, so I was consistently getting Biggoronsaurus, the Fierce Deities armor, which I upgraded to max, which is great. That was pretty much my default armor throughout the whole game because it ups your attack and whatever. Very cool. I'm glad they added that. I'm glad that was in there. Stuff like that was cool, and that's why I think the depths are awesome. You know, I mean, I do like that the light roots and the shrines are connected, but I'm just saying that's how it breaks the game. But the depths itself is really cool. Exploring it at first is a pain in the ass because you are just left. It's literally just darkness. It's fucking darkness everywhere. And I remember just spending hours and hours running around down there just trying to blindly find my way to the thing. I found the Spirit Temple by complete accident. I remember that. That was crazy. So I knew where the Spirit Temple was long before I knew kind of even about that sage or any of that. So, yeah, so the depths, there's like big cavernous holes everywhere that you can like fall down into or glide, you know, dive down into or whatnot. So that's pretty cool. And you know, they're all kind of connected to areas above, and you know, where certain villages are, there's like mining facilities down below. You can upgrade your battery, which is related to your Zonite stuff. That's where I was kind of getting at with this. You have these Zonite devices that you can now build because your arm gets chopped off and it gets replaced with Raru's arm, or he builds you a new arm or some shit. I don't know. And so you can now make things in this game by like there's all these parts throughout the world, like rockets and fans and these controller sticks and whatever. It's cool that you can make all this stuff now. And I thought at first I thought, oh, this is going to be too much. I don't really. And yeah, I mean, in a sense, I was right. It is too much, and I don't know how to do specifically everything, but I did enough to be able to get through the game, you know. But as soon as you figure out about the hover bike thing, it's pretty much, you know, that's pretty much it. But you also can't transport Koroks and those stones and whatever with those. So yeah, the Koroks are back, by the way. There's 1,000 of them now. Although I did find Korok hunting a lot more reasonable in this game. I don't know why. I mean, I guess just because I had a video series that showed me, here by this area is where these Koroks are. And so I spent a couple, I don't know, maybe a week or so. How long did I even play this game? 240 hours. Or I spent a while, at least, let's say maybe 10 or 15 hours just going around and getting like 400 Koroks to be able to upgrade all my shit so that I wouldn't run out of spaces and stuff. So a lot of the side content in the game is very similar, and I did a lot of that, and I enjoyed doing all of that, except for, you know, the fact of the shrines and whatever. But the thing about the shrines is I did enjoy doing the things leading to said shrines. For the most part, there were some in the sky that were kind of annoying, but as soon as I figured out how to get a good balanced thing that I could carry the stones on, it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, so figuring that out, you know, you just kind of have to get to a point where you know how to build the proper things, but as soon as you do, it's pretty easy. There's also these like dispensary things, and you find them in chests and stuff where you get these like bubbles of the parts, so you can like carry them around with you and just take them out at any point. So that's handy, that's helpful. Or you have auto build too, where you can just auto build stuff from Zonite things, which you can mine down in the depths, like I was saying earlier. So that's cool. So there's a lot of side stuff to do, you know, upgrading your battery so that you can fly the Zonite things longer, or, you know, exploring the depths, exploring caverns and stuff. All of that stuff, you know, farming dragon parts and upgrading your stuff. A lot of it is carried over from the first game, but there's more to do. And I like all of that stuff. I think that all of that stuff was a lot of fun, you know? I had a good time doing that stuff. The main quest also is pretty good. I mean, I think the dungeons are a huge improvement on Breath of the Wild. They may not all shoot laser beams out to take Ganon's health down by half, or some equivalent to that, but oh yeah, also Xanon. Ganon turns into a dragon at the end. He does the same thing as Zelda. And I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I'm like, oh, duh. Of course he would eat the thing and turn into a dragon when he's at his last thing. And that part was alright. I mean, that was another... I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this. I kind of prefer the Dark Beast Ganon from the last game. But this part was good too. It was sort of a Shadow of the Colossus, like, style. Like, you know, you're up flying on Zelda, the dragon Zelda, and then you like would jump off of her and go under the like multiple like 5 or whatever parts where you could like hit it with your Master Sword. It was alright. It could have been a lot better though. I mean, Calamity Ganon and Dark Beast Ganon were a much better combo of battles. And I thought it was cool how Calamity Ganon had a lot of different styles he would attack you with, and there was different phases and stuff. Ganon was just like Ganon, powerful Ganondorf, you know, and then like Dragon Ganondorf. It was like, okay, I mean, this is okay, but like, you know, it's not as good. Also, he parries your, or not parries, he does the, what's the thing called? Like the backflip, and then it's like flurry rush. He flurry rushes your attacks. He doesn't use the thing to like attack you back, but he like does the slow motion like jump away and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool, but it could have been cool. It's just he was way too easy. Maybe just because I was decked out and I had like all the hearts and whatever. Yeah, like I did all of the shrines and stuff. I just don't find them to be as good as the ones in Breath of the Wild. So you can't say that I didn't do everything. Well, okay. You could say that I didn't do all the side quests and all that. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of that stuff I just didn't touch. I didn't touch a lot of that in Breath of the Wild either, but I did touch a lot of side quests too. I did do some of them, or a good amount of them. I just didn't do all of them. You know, I didn't really see the point in doing all of them, and I didn't get all the little bubble things. You know, the frog guys inside the caverns. I got a lot of them. I didn't think the reward was worth like pursuing. I did get the okay. I do want to talk about this. I did get the wet armor from the newspaper side quest or whatever. They fixed it. They fixed it! They fucking fixed it! They didn't, really. I mean, it still sucks, but the rain is still everywhere, and it still sucks. But they did make an armor that lets you go a little bit farther in the rain. It still sucks. The rain is still the worst part. Not the worst part of it. The rain is still bad. I still hate the rain. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm all over the place in this review. I just want to talk about this because this was another great thing. I said it in the last review. Did I not? Go back, find it. I swear to God. I said, I want to see better enemies. More enemies. More classic enemies in Tears of the Kingdom. And motherfucker, what did they do? They did my exact suggestion. Gleeoks are in this game. I said I want to fight dragons in this game, and they did that, motherfucker. They did it. They fucking put them in this game, and they're hard as shit. They're cool as shit. They're hard as shit. I only ever fought like a fire one, I think. But yeah, God, holy shit, they're in the game. That's fucking badass. They're cool too. They're really awesome. They're hard, but they're cool. That's the kind of stuff I want. More difficult stuff like that. Okay, and then that's the other thing. Not to say that like some of the caves and some of the quests to get to the shrines weren't kind of difficult at times. They were, and there was a lot of frustrating ones. I'm just saying the shrines themselves weren't that difficult. And there's a lot of ways to break a lot of things in this game that were intended to kind of not be as hard. So, you know, and that's the thing about this game. At the end of the day, it's a mixed bag, you know? I think it's a good Zelda game. I definitely like it a lot. I had a lot of fun playing. I was addicted to playing this game a lot, but I do recognize that the shrines aren't as good. I was talking about the main quest. I want to talk about that, actually, before... That feels like I was wrapping up there. This review is going to be way shorter than the other one. I knew it was going to be, too. The main quest. The dungeons were better. I liked the fire one. The spirit one was fine. Getting all the different parts. I thought it was cool how they were like kind of mini dungeons. They're very similar, where you have to like activate 5 things or whatever, but they're better. They're better done. They felt a little bit more like traditional Zelda dungeons in a sense. We're still not there yet, but they're a lot closer. I did think the Lightning Temple was also pretty cool with the mirrors and the all of that. And the first part of that dungeon is just like a genuine Zelda dungeon, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. The fire one has like these minecarts that you take to different levels and stuff. You can easily just break it by, you know, making devices and stuff and like flying around or like using rocket shields and stuff. But at the same token, if you do it the way it was intended, that's a pretty cool dungeon. It's a little bit confusing, but still. The water one was pretty alright. Yeah. Oh, I want to talk about the powers, too, because that was definitely lesser than Breath of the Wild. The wind one was pretty good, and then the spirit one I already talked about. Missing one, aren't I? No, I talked about them all. That's all 5. And then they have Hyrule Castle as, like, a dungeon. At the end there, and you go and you fight Phantom Ganon in like the area from where you fight the Ganon in the first game. That was actually a pretty cool fight. I will give Phantom Ganon a pass on this. Like, Ganon wasn't as cool. There was a lot of phases. Okay, I mean there was a lot of phases spread out over time, and I do genuinely think that the bosses were a little bit better thought out, or at least they were designed more. They weren't just Ganon a bunch of times. So aesthetically they were fine. They were way too easy, though. Again, way too easy. The Ganon Blights, all the Blight Ganons were difficult. Not all of them, but at least like Thunder Blight was pretty difficult, and a couple of them were kind of difficult. I prefer those as bosses to this. I mean, I like these bosses because they feel more like traditional Zelda bosses, but they're a little too easy, you know? I need it to be a little bit more difficult. That's what it all comes down to. I don't know. I don't know how you do it, but the game just felt like they scaled back the difficulty a lot. And I don't need a super difficult game. I just didn't feel like this was that difficult at all. It felt a little lackluster in comparison. I felt overpowered all the time, you know? Was that my fault? I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't know, but you know, you put these mechanics in your game where you can add things to your weapons, and then your weapons are instantly just more powerful. Or your bows and stuff. You can even, yeah, that's what's great about it. You can put things on arrows. So, like, previously, you know, you would have your bomb and all of that, your powers. The powers are cool. Oh, I should talk about the powers. That's good. I keep getting sidetracked. Okay, the powers. So they have recall, which can reverse the state of an item to where it previously is. That's cool, because that can, like, make things go up in the air, or if you like drop something, you can make them, you know, you can do a lot of stuff with recall. The one I like is the one where it puts a little dot on the ceiling and you can like go through ceilings and stuff. That's really handy. You know, and again, this kind of like breaks a lot of parts of the game, but it does a lot of cool things for the game too, because there's certain rooms and stuff you have to think, am I underneath that room? Can I like just, you know, straight shot up into there? That kind of stuff. I don't know. They can do interesting things with it. I just don't know if they always did interesting things with it. You know what I mean? What else? There's the auto build and the hand where you can like lift stuff. Very similar to the thing they had in the last game anyway. And then there's the fuse ability like I talked about. There's a lot of cool things you can do with the fuse ability, especially like if you like I said, like rocket shields and stuff. You know, there's a lot of cool things people have done. All sorts of things I didn't even like really consider, and then people would be showing them off in videos, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's really cool. But anyway, in replacement of like the bomb in the last game, you know how you had like certain bombs and stuff, you just have bomb flowers you can pick up now. And then you can just like throw those or attach those to your arrows to shoot those and stuff. They have like all of the elemental, like they have like a electric fruit, like a water fruit, like a fire fruit, you know, for all of those sorts of things. What's cool is like you can do stuff like if you add, so like you can throw like an ice fruit right into the water and it'll like make a platform for you, where you can like add that to a sword, and then if you hit the water with that, or if you just like swing it, it'll throw ice so that you can just keep creating platforms. So that's kind of cool. So it's kind of like ice arrows and fire arrows and stuff from the last game. They have Gibdos in this game, you know, like that enemy. They're only weak to electricity, really. And like the dazzle fruits, I'll take them out because that takes out like a lot of the undead enemies and whatnot. Because they're basically like a light fruit or whatnot. So that's pretty cool. You can use the power. That's what I need to talk about, is the powers of Riju. Is that her name? What's her name? What's the princess? Her name, or queen? Or is she a queen or a princess? Let's just type in Gerudo Queen. Is she a queen or a princess? Riju! Yeah, I knew it. Okay, she is chief of the Gerudo. I'm gonna call her a queen, though. She is a queen. She is slaying it. No, she's cool, though. I like her. Yeah, her power puts an electric field around you. Kind of like what she did in the last game. It's exactly like that. And then if you hit Gibdos within that, it'll like destroy them like instantly. if you hit him with like an arrow or something. So that's pretty cool. You've got Yunobo, who's got what? Okay, let me think. What does he do? Oh yeah, he can like roll into a ball and like knock into like these specific um, rocks or just like the rock piles. Oh my god, that's so stupid. I could have done that in the depths at the end there. I didn't have to break through it with the rock. Yeah, so there's like cracked, rocks in the game like everywhere. Like big piles of them and stuff. You'll have to like break through them with usually a rock attached to like a sword or something. Once you get Yunobo, why did this pause? That's weird. Once you get Yunobo, you can just kind of ram through that stuff, which I kind of forgot about. Tulin is the most helpful of the abilities. When you're flying and you're gliding or whatever in the air, he can like give you a burst, a gust of wind, and you can like, like go a little bit farther and stuff. So that's a really helpful ability. I loved that one. That was probably the best ability. And then, Mineru is just the giant mech suit. She fights for you. That's basically her ability. And then you can ride her too. You can like jump on top of her and like you still get hit and stuff though. So I mean it's okay. I like it. It's a cool concept and everything, but I don't know. Oh, and then the water Sidon, he encases you in a water protection thing. You can take like one hit from that, I think, and then it'll kind of like the protection thing in the last game. So that probably is the closest like parallel to the last one there. But you can also use it to like slash water onto switches and stuff. I don't know. It's fine. The last game though had such better abilities. Instant revive, fucking the gust thing that like does you right up into the air. I mean, there's ways to do that in this game too, like a rocket shield and stuff, obviously. But just having these abilities, like the Goron one where you get like the protective shell thing, that's fucking awesome. And what was the other one? I'm trying to think. Uh-oh. Why can't I think of it? Oh, and then the lightning power, yeah, which is sort of similar. Yeah, so I don't mind the abilities in this one, but they're not as useful as they were before. That's the one thing they didn't break in this one, was the abilities of the champions, or whatever you want to call them. Previously it was the champions, now we're the Spirit Squad or something. The Soul Squad. Like, fucking good place. Yeah, so those are kind of a downgrade. But the quest lines to, for those are actually pretty good. I liked the Gerudo one was a lot of fun. I thought that was pretty cool. Like defending the village and stuff, and like taking down those big like shells that were like spawning the Gibdos and stuff was pretty good. I like that. I think that was kind of cool. The other ones were fine, like I thought climbing the like cyclone thing like around it on the things was pretty cool to get to the dungeon. I actually got to the dungeon before like Tulin was there, so I couldn't like activate the thing to warp back up there, so I had to do it again with him, but it's alright. So that was before I kind of knew about all of that. So, and then yeah, the other ones were fine too, I guess. I don't know. The Zora one kind of took a while, and I think that might have been like the weakest one out of the 5 or 4. So yeah, that one was alright. And then the other one was good too. So yeah. Okay, one thing I want to talk about. Now, I know I probably complained a little bit about the Guardians in the last game. Really? Where though? fuck are all the guardian shells laying out in the field or whatever? You took all of them out, even the ones at the Forgotten Temple. It's the motherfucking Forgotten Temple. Only Link knows about this shit. And you cleaned that out of all the guardian shells? What did you do with them all? Where'd they all go? There's not a single one, except for at the Hateno Ancient Lab on the top or whatever. Really? They were fucking everywhere in the last game. You motherfuckers did not clean up every one of those. That is beyond my suspension of disbelief. Anyway, the lack of guardians in the game kind of sucked. They have the Zonai construct things. They're okay. But the guardians were fearsome. And I know it kind of sucks to be running around the field and, you know, you're just trying to get somewhere and then it's instantly a threat or whatever, but I don't know. It added something to the original game. I thought that was cool in that game. There's a lot of things in the original game that are cool, but, you know, I mean, there are a lot of mechanics in this game that it would be hard to go back to the original game without the weapon fusing and all of that, you know, the caves and stuff. It just feels more limited by comparison, you know, and I don't know. But it is a good game, the original. It'll be hard to it's hard to say. I think it has enough to probably hold up on its own, because there's a lot of things that this game doesn't have, you know, like the Guardians, like the good shrines, and all that kind of stuff, you know, so it has its own things that are good about it, but it does feel basic by comparison, because you don't have the depths, you don't have the sky, you don't have the caves, you don't have the weapon fusing system, you don't have the vehicles. I could do without those, honestly. I mean, they're great. For getting around, they're great. But at the end of the day, they kind of break the game. So, I mean, in Zelda, if you wanted... in Breath of the Wild, if you wanted to climb something, you had to motherfucking climb that shit. Outside of the thing, the gust or whatever, Rivali's Gale is what it's called, yeah. You could do that, but, like, you still pretty much had to climb everywhere. And I know that can get a little boring after a while, but it always is like a test of like, oh, alright, am I going to make it? They have a similar thing to that in here. I mean, obviously climbing still, but I upgraded my stamina wheels like right away, so no big deal there. But the Zonite stuff is the battery. Is my battery going to run out before I get there in the sky, and are we going to fall? You know, kind of thing. But I always had more than enough charges to kind of mitigate that anyway, so... yeah. So, I think that's everything, isn't it? Or is that everything? I don't know. I kind of talked about everything, didn't I? I feel like. Oh, I like how, Master Koga, he's down in the depths. The hole he fell in it goes to the depths. You're like, oh man, what is that? Like, it went to the depths. It was set up for this game. That's so cool. That's such a good like detail there. So yeah, so you still have those fuckers around everywhere. The Yiga clan or whatever. They're all right. But you do fight him a bunch of times down there, and he has like these big Zonite like construct things. Those boss fights are cool too. I mean, so yeah, I liked that. So I like the depths is like all around pretty much a great concept and a great. I think that was executed very well. The sky is a little lacking comparatively, but it still has its own charm, and there's still a lot to do up there, and I think it still works in a lot of regards. You know, it's not as big as the depths is, I guess, the main drawback of that. But well, you start on this like tutorial island, and it's like, you know, it's like this big area in the sky, and you expect all of the islands kind of be like that, and they're really not. If they were, that would have been really cool, but I mean, they didn't do that, so I don't know. Um, I kind of like the Great Plateau better as an opener too. It's more just like puts you right into the game, and I get it. They had to introduce some more complicated like mechanics here to keep things interesting, but I don't know. That's what it all comes down to is like I do like a lot of that stuff. It just kind of breaks the game and makes it less interesting. So at the end of the day, is that a bad thing? I mean, not really, but the game feels too easy by comparison, and a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the enemies aren't as threatening, but they still kind of are. I mean, like the Lionels are still strong, you know, the Gleeoks are still cool, but you know, you still have hordes of enemies coming after you. But like, it's nothing like taking out a Guardian, you know, taking on a Guardian. Like that's a cool fight, you know, and you just that's lacking here. I mean, the little they needed bigger. Well, okay, they did have the ones that were all over the bigger construct guys. They did have those. Okay, those were pretty good too. Boss fight. I didn't mind those. Those were good. All the like mini bosses were pretty cool. They added like, you know, they have the same ones, and then they added like the Talos. That's like you have like the enemies on top of there and stuff. Um, they have like those pirate area. There's like a few different like pirate things where like there's the Moblins or whatever that are pirates, I guess. Like Eventide Island has them there. Um, they called a couple of the things on that island like the actual things from like Link's Awakening too, so I thought that was pretty cool. Um, and there was a couple more references to that. So you still have all of that stuff, but it's just not as impressive the second time around. It's cool to see how it's changed and see the caverns and stuff that have opened up and see the new locations of shrines and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just disappointing because the shrines aren't that great. The caverns are cool, but I mean, like, you know, and the depths is cool, and the sky is cool, like I said, and the gem quests where you get these gems, then you take them to a shrine or whatever. Those are cool too. I mean, those are pretty good. Um, there's a lot of new things that are good. Um, I guess it's just a lot of the returning stuff they made different, and some of that's good and some of that's bad. You know, the weapon system is cool. That's definitely a good. Um, the what else? I don't know. Like the main quests were good. The dungeons were good. They were done like way better. I feel like. Um, yeah, and the boss fights and stuff. I mean, some of them were better, like the Ganon ones and like the Master Koga ones, and but like the other ones didn't feel as hard as the Ganon, the Blight Ganon. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, there's a lot of good things, there's a lot of bad things, and there's a lot of stuff that's in between that I just don't really know how to feel about. But they did add a lot of new stuff while retaining the old stuff. You know, of course, there's still like the cooking mechanic and stuff. That's still here, and it's still more stuff you can do with that now. And you know, so like all the old stuff is there. They built on top of it. I mean, not all the old stuff. A lot of the old stuff is there, and they built on top of it, improved stuff, and changed a few things, and a lot of it is good. But you know, it's just it's a sequel by all means at the end of the day, and I really did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun with it, but there's just certain things I couldn't help but be disappointed by, I guess, in some regards. Um, but it overall felt like they tried to improve most things, you know, especially the complaints, like the rain stuff. I mean, they put something in there to combat that now, you know, and stuff like that's a good thing. I'm all for stuff like that. It's just they broke some of their own challenge in the game, so I don't know. Maybe there would be a way to play the game that would make it a little bit harder or something too. just not down for all these like super easy games these days. Like I like that they're easy. It's a double-edged sword because I like that they're easy so I can finish them, but I also don't like that they're easy because then I'm like, it's not even that hard. You know, it's like I can't win. You can't win with me. Although Breath of the Wild was great though. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. We'll see how that is by comparison. Now it's tough. It's tough to like think about because I just you know. The other thing is it's tough because this was such a sporadic thing. I played this over, you know, a couple of months here of playing this. I mean, when did this come out? In like May, right, or something? It's August. It come out in May? Holy shit! It's fucking August. I started playing this when it came out. Then goddamn 5 months I've been trying to fucking beat this game. So here we are at the end, you know, of the game, I guess. It's bittersweet. It's like, I want it to be done with so I can play other games, but I don't know. I had a great time with it. I really did. I enjoyed the game a lot. I don't mean to come off negative. It was a great experience of a game. It's just, you know, I was disappointed by like the shrines and like, I guess it was cool that they made the bosses go back to like more monstery bosses or whatever, but it's just like they weren't as hard. I don't know, the Ganon fights weren't that hard. You know, that's usually the hardest part of the game is Ganon. You know, it's like all the stuff getting up to him was kind of hard, but it's like you just run through most of it. You don't have to fight most of it. The only hard part about it is that they're you know, every time they hit you, you lose those hearts like temporarily until you use like a gloom remover thing. Luckily I had those pots, you know, the portable pots, so I just set one down, make a recipe with it. So yeah, again, something that breaks the thing. Before I would have had to gone out and like actually, you know, planned for that beforehand or whatever, but I'm glad I could do that. I didn't want to go all the way back out and then have to come back in or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. But overall, it was good. I mean, I had a good time with it. It was a lot of fun. Definitely on mid to high tier of Zelda games. There's definitely a lot lesser Zelda games than this. It's definitely pretty high up there. I just don't know that it's gonna like be within my top 5 Zeldas or something. You know, or probably the top 10. I mean, because there's not that many Zeldas, but like, you know. I think I want to give Tears of the Kingdom... where do I want to put it? I'm going to give it an 8.9 out of 10. Just below the 9 mark there. For a couple of the things I mentioned before. Still really solid game. Still a really great game. But it had some problems, you know, a couple problems. Not anything severe. I definitely still enjoyed the game a lot. Visually, it looked really nice. I mean, there was a lot of really cool things that, you know, and the expansion of the world with the caverns and the depths and the sky and all of that, and the references to the previous game, what has changed, all of that was cool. I'm glad that they made this game. I'm not saying it's a bad game by any means or anything. I'm just saying I had a couple of things that I thought might have turned out differently or something. I don't know. Overall, I still love it. I mean, I still think it's great. You know, I still had a really good time playing it, like I said. I'm still really addicted to it. I just kind of felt like... I don't want to say that it was over too soon, because I put 240 hours into it. That's not too soon. It's just... I don't know. Like, there was a lot there, but... And I explored mostly everything, as far as I can tell. I mean, I didn't do it like all of the side quests or anything, but you know. I saw like 90% of what the game had to offer, probably, you know, like, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's tough. I don't want to end the review because then the game is over, you know? I need to talk about the music, I guess. I'll talk about that. It's alright. It's pretty good, but, you know, it's alright. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild, where it's, like, a little bit lesser, but when it needs to be extra, it definitely is. Uh, they had a lot of classic songs from the older games in there, like Zelda's Lullaby and that kind of stuff, so, I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of callback tracks to other games. That's nice. I definitely did appreciate that. So the music's alright. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's good. It's not, like, amazing. It's like, you know, there's definitely some good moments. I don't know. Yeah. So, Tears of the Kingdom. 8.9 out of 10. Pretty good game. I really enjoyed it. I have no idea where they're going with Zelda from here. I really would like to see some 2D Zelda again. They put the Oracle games out on the Switch Online, so that kind of sucks, because that means that they might not remake them for a while, but I would definitely like to see a 2D Zelda. Don't just do another one of these right away. What would I work on for the next game? I have no idea. I mean, I feel like we're losing a lot of charm with these open world Zeldas. You know, I mean, they're great in their own regard, but can we not just have this kind of Zelda and then the other kind of Zelda, like classic Zelda? I don't know exactly what that means. I know I've had these debates in the past, but like, come on, guys. Or at least some 2D Zelda or something for real, because that is kind of the classic Zelda feel, you know? I want more games in the style of A Link to the Past. You know, that kind of top down, you go around, you find the stuff, and or like a Minish Cap, or like, you know, Seasons or something. Like Link's Awakening. That's what I should have said to begin with. Yeah, stuff like that. I don't want to be stuck in the Breath of the Wild era forever, even though that's probably what they're gonna do. And you know, I don't mind these. I love these games. I want these ones to happen too, but I think on the side, before that, you could make sort of an easier to make Zelda, like a different sort of thing. I don't know, they're probably waiting for the next Switch or whatever, but they've constantly in the past said, no, this is the style we're doing, so. What's wrong with just doing some 2D Zelda? Also, everyone loves 2D Zelda, okay? Like, get over yourselves. What about us? What about the fans? You know? Me, the fan. So, I don't know. Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom. It was pretty good. It was great. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to stick around for more reviews on the rated games, and I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ